My last video, I showed you how to add the camera to the player and create the sprite itself, as well as just demonstrated that the GUI automatically attaches to your player camera um, when you attach the camera to anything, and that the camera automatically is focused to you, the user, without having to write anything in your script. So today I want to show you how to implement movement. I wrote a script with a combination of a bunch of things I saw and a couple extra handlers that I wrote myself. Um, so the first thing we're going to do to do movement, um, well, before that, let's just set up our animations real quick. And we're going to go to our PC folder that we set up and go to our atlas that we also set up. And we're going to create some animation groups. So I'm going to add an animation group. And this animation group, we're going to rename it. We'll rename this one Move Up. And these are going to be the animations that we refer to when we refer to the when we move, essentially. And so we're going to create one Move Up. We'll just create a bunch of animation groups. So this one's going to call Move Down. And the next one will be called Move Left. Or Move Right. So I have this card right here that will tell me, so this is 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. I don't really need the last three because we're not going to do any crouching. We're just focused on movement here. So what I'm going to do here is I'm just going to delete the last three. So I'm just going to hold Control, get rid of those. All right, now we have our basic animations. And so we're going to go move up. We need 0, 1, and 2. 0, 1, and 2. This is actually move left. So 0, 1, and 2. You can just copy. And we can put those into move left. So now we have 0, 1, and 2. And we can get rid of them up here as well. Next time I'll cut. Alright, so you can also put those in move right. And we're going to have to flip these over the horizontally. So we'll just paste them in here. Now we can go to move up. It has the next three. So 3, 4, and 5. You can just cut them this time. And then our last three are going to be 6, 7, and 8. And these are going to be in our move down folder. Idle frame here. So for Control B, just make sure we didn't mess up anything. Okay, now we can go to our player script. This is attached to our main collection. So we have player, and then we have it under our player. So we have player sprite, which contains our atlas, and then as seen right here, and then we have our player script. So our player script, we can go in here and on initialize. So what we have in here right now is just our GUI disabled, just so the GUI is not up when we create the game itself. And then we have the action ID calling the GUI. So the first thing we need to do is I have my script that I wrote right here. And so we have this, And then we can just go, so we have the GUI disable, right? And then we need to set these variables right here. So I'm going to copy and paste these. I'm going to post a script in the description so you can follow along. And I'm going to describe the script as we go. So here we have self, and then input direction is our variable. And we're going to set this as a three-dimensional vector, 0, 0, 0. And we have this variable right here. So this one's going to tell us the movement direction, essentially. And right here is our speed, which we're going to multiply by the direction to get our vector or our actual like input. And then here we have actions. And what we're going to use this to do is we're mapping our actions to ourself so that we can call them in the update function. And we're going to have one more part to that, and I'm going to show you that here in a second. And then we're going to set the current animation to basically nothing, nil. And what this is going to do is just going to allow us to check what animation is playing so we don't have conflicting animations and sliding and stuff like that. So what we want to do in our input right here is we're going to need to create a function that basically sends the input action to self so that we can call it in the update function. So I have that script down here. So we have this action ID. So if the action ID, if there is an action ID, we're going to, and an action is pressed. So if there is an action that exists and it's pressed, then we're going to set self.actions action ID to true. And then if it's released, we set this to false. Basically, we're just storing the action ID in self.actions so we can access it from a different function. Now what we want to do is we're going to call the onUpdate function. So I have this big function. This is going to be our largest part of the tutorial. So I'll just copy the whole thing. I'm just going to Control C, Control V. It is a big function, and we're calling this function that we haven't wrote yet. But I'm going to go through it one part at a time. So what we're doing is we're getting, if our action is left, hash left, then we animate to the left, and then we set the direction and the speed essentially for the X. We're setting the X speed, and since it's left, it'll be negative speed, and we'll do the same thing on right, but this time will be positive self speed. And then if these things, if it's not left or right, we know the movement in the X direction is 0. So we can just set that. And then we do the same thing for up and down. And we do animate walk down. And we do the same thing. If there's no direction in the Y, or if up and down are not pressed, we just set this to 0. And so I also have these basically conflict managers. So if you don't have these on there, if you're not checking that the action is in the left and right, because I pretty much in my tutorial, or at least in my game, I found that the best action in Defold without like any extra assets is just four-dimensional. That way you can have cleaner movement with no sliding in the diagonal directions, where you have to extra define what animation has to play when. I haven't found a good way to solve that, but it's not really a big deal to me. So you can modify this to create better movement if you want to. If you remove these, it'll allow you to move diagonally, but there will be sliding. And then, so down here, we're going to see if left and right are both pressed, then we set the input to 0 in the x direction. This is just so if you press left and right at the same time, one button will um, have higher priority than the other, and it will slide in that direction, even if it's the most recent button you pressed. You can create a script that goes above that, but it becomes more complicated. So we see that if these two buttons are pressed, opposing buttons are pressed, we set the input in that direction to 0 just to equalize it. And then we also have self.actions.up and down, and we set the direction to y to 0. And then we also have one more part, which is going to be our idle script for our idle animation. If direction 0 is if the movement in x is 0 and the movement in y is 0, then the animation player is going to be idle. And then at the very end, we have our moose script. We have go, that set position, and we're going to get our position and increase it by the movement. And now we have to set up our animation function. So our animation function is going to be a local function. That's important. So our animation function is going to be animate self comma animation. If and we check to see if the current animation is not the animation that we were previously playing, just so we don't have stalling in the beginning of an animation, because you'll get stuck on the first frame of your previous animation. And we have and then if this is true, if it is not the animation that's playing, then we can set the animation as the animation that's playing. So this will be this next time when you switch animations. And then we play the flipbook of our hashtag player sprite. So that will be go to our game object. That will be whatever you named your player sprite. And then we'll play the animation. Now make sure you have the most recent version. I don't know what version of Defold this is, 1.9.8. This was how you can call your animations. This changed from you could previously you had to have a hash and all that. Now you don't. So just be careful of that. And that should be the script. Just got to make sure I have all my ends right since I copied and pasted. So we have if, we need an end right here. Now let's just control build and see what happens. So we have no movement. I definitely forgot to set up something at the top, I think. So what I forgot to do was bind my inputs. So I bound W to up, A to left, S to down, and D to right. And then make sure those are case sensitive, by the way. So make sure those are correct. And so if we control B, and now we have movement. Down the animations, it says walk right, walk down, walk left, walk up. And what's wrong with that is I named them differently in these two different files. So if we go to our main collection, or if we go to our player character atlas, sorry, uh, we have move right instead of walk right. So in our mouse or our player script, we're just going to change these to move. So we'll just go move left, move right, move down, and move up. And now we'll go to our LB and we should be set. And now we have animations in all the areas. This is just because I'm going behind the house because my animation is set wrong. Or not my animation, this layer is just higher than my character layer, which is fine. We have a little gliding in the down direction, and our right direction we have the left animation, so we want to go flip that. So if we go back to our atlas, we go to our move right, we'll just flip horizontal, and we'll build that again. So we have that's fine, up's fine, up and left is fine. Now we just have our down is gliding, and I could tell you why that is. Let's look at our move down, 06, 07, 08. So we have 7 should be in the middle, and it is. So this one's 6, 7, 8. And we go to our player script. You might not have this problem. Let's look at down for a second. So I'm gonna get rid of this. Just backspace this for now. So Control B. We still have gliding. See, this is what happens if you get rid of that little script I just wrote, is you get this diagonal movement that's kind of slidey. See, if I hold up and left, it doesn't slide at all. So let's look at down. This is fine to leave at this point if you're not having that problem. So it should be negative self.speed. We have up and down, that's fine. And we're going to animate move down. It's fine. So anyways, I restarted my project, and right after I was about to upload my video, and for some reason down movement just decided to work, so with the script that we already had, so no 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 reason, I guess. I couldn't tell you why. Just seems inconsistent, I guess. Anyways, thanks for watching.